redeemed through a family redeemer, or what they call a bloodline redeemer in the Bible, right? And this was the person assigned to go through all of the families, parts of the family, in order to figure out what's the cause of the disruption in the family. Once you locate the cause of the disruption, you actively interfere with the disruptor. Once you interfere with the disruptor, it gets the attention of other bloodline heirs who will come to you with codes, and they will flip codes to each other because they playing in the blind, almost like Bop Goes the Weasel or Tag in the Dark. You it. And when enough families find a person who knows how to redeem the families of the earth, they assign them the position as the Speaker of the House.
Go ahead.
As in the Speaker of Big Mama House stands on the front porch and say, everybody get ready, Big Mama on her way home. Right? So now everybody go put on their Sunday best because Big Mama been on vacation for a while, but she come back home and they start singing the Alafia song. So this is the different groups of the genetic stocks of India. And if you look, you'll see the ones that's the darkest. Some of them even got kinky hair that's real dark like that. And some of them got a ether. Those ENKI babies. Now the ones up at the top, second to the right, those ENLIL babies from out of his Earth family stock. Not the other way. The second, yeah, them over there. The lady in the first one look, yeah. No, all of them is the same. All of them ENKI kids.
Right here at the top.
Now you see her at the top. She looked like she's from Australia. Her right there.
Yeah.
Those are also ENKI children. We talking about a white
woman. They don't got complete straight hair. They got like a 7, 8. They don't got that 6 though.
So now when we start talking about the peoples of Asia, we talking a group or a genetic stock they call Melanesians. And this is where you see the brown skin with the blonde hair. Okay. Like he does old, that's why his hair white. But if you go to the another picture I sent you, it was showing you those kids with the blonde hair.
Yeah, I got it right here. Right here.
Them right there. These are called Melanesian people.
Yeah.
And they got blonde hair and melanated skin. They come from a different genetic line out of the what they classify as the Negrito peoples, which consists mostly of the South Pacific Islands going into New Zealand, down into Australia. And they say this is where the Australian people migrated from up here. And this is why they hair have a propensity to turn blind. But that's the bleaching due to the solar rays. The sun bleaches their hair like that. Their hair might get darker in the wintertime. And in the summer, the sun will bleach their hair like that. Right? But it don't bleach everybody hair like that. Only certain genetic lines, those are called the golden ones when you're talking about how they referred to in the ancient texts. Those Melanesian people right here, they were called the golden ones. Look at them and you'll see why.
Hey, these people are like, they saw them as like primitive looking, but they intelligent because that the tyrosine in their brain is it's a tyrosine in their brain that's going more than the normal human. I did some research on
you got to keep in mind, however smart we might be right now, we dumb as hell, including me. Right. Because the capabilities that we have and what we've been poisoned into not using is a giant shift in intelligence.
Okay.
In other words, what you haven't been poisoned out of and miseducated out of to recover any of that. It's a massive jump in that in intelligence just by overcoming them two obstacles: the social
Right.
conditioning and the poisoning. I don't know which one worse.
Right. Right. I think social conditioning, because we by who the people we are, if they just let us go and do what we do, we always make a way out or find a way to get out of get into the game. Nubians find
Okay,
a
so
way.
now I'm glad you said that. Now look at this. For the last 500 years, we've been on the bottom.
Uh-huh.
Where was we at the eternity of history before that 500-year stretch?
We were ruling the world. I think 500 years ago, the Nubians were ruling the world.
Okay, you say we was ruling the world.
Yep.
500 years ago, some people crawled out the caves and whooped our ass.
Yeah, that don't make no sense. That don't sound right. It's just something missing on that.
Right.
They had help. Them guys
So,
from the caves had help from about. They was puppeted. They had a puppet master. The hand.
yeah.
The
Okay, go
hand.
back to Elijah Muhammad.
Okay.
He said when Yaqub realized that he wasn't going to see his creation come into fruition,
Okay. Go ahead.
he left his scientists in charge.
Okay.
Remember that?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
now go back to when he first assembled his scientists,
Uh-huh.
and they described them as being dark as night.
Yeah, that's right.
So the scientists that's
Early morning.
controlling the narrative is some niggas,
That's right.
and they call themselves Jews. I sent you a real clip about the Jews. I don't know if you got it. Because
Oh yeah, I
people
got
keep
it.
thinking
I
these
got it
pale
here.
faces is the Jews. They not the Jews.
Here, and if not, I'm about to play it through this. I can play it through
Mm-hmm.
this other thing. Tell me, can you hear when I play it? Man, Rod, that right there. That's a lot right there. It says the whole game, the whole it shuts down the whole layout. It tells you how the whole layout really is shut down. It's all over with already. The Pope already told them to stop the Spanish Inquisition. The Spanish Inquisition is over. Stop what you're doing. Stop this foreign. He explained how all of them are foreigners, foreign government. They're not even
And
supposed to
that's
be
what I've
on
been
our land.
saying. And that's what I've been saying the whole time, that America is a corporation. You hear me kept saying Inc.
Yep.
United States
Yep.
Inc. United States
Yep.
of America Inc. Because they incorporated, but the charters is held overseas. They not domestically chartered amongst us. They foreignly chartered in the roles of the holdings of the royal houses of Europe.
Right.
And the asset to settle their dispute among themselves was the treaty arrangements that they made with each other as if they was us.
Uh-huh.
This is why he said to surrender when the rightful heirs come along, that they wasn't going to resist handing it over. This is
Right.
why it's so important for us to remember our culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we know now what enough of us aware, and Queen Candace already said that we almost at critical. So she said what she said.
Man, so why so like the court system's going on? It shouldn't even be no court system going on where you got to go to court and they give you 100, 200 years for something like shouldn't even be
All
that.
of the courts was ordered to cease and desist
Right.
back in 2013. They've been acting on in their own capacity. That means they are assuming the function with none of the jurisdictional authority to continue doing business
Wow.
on the land under
Wow.
the old conditions.
So how do
Those
we stop these
conditions no
motherfuckers?
longer exist.
So how do we stop these motherfuckers from continuing to commit war crimes? By them doing us like they doing us, they commit war crimes against us. So like we need more people to stand up and speak out against this. Like this is is fucking not right, man. It's not right.
Okay, so now remember I said earlier when we seized FEMA,
Uh-huh.
because we tell you right in the letter to surrender FEMA in all of their military holdings,
Right.
right? So when we seized FEMA, they gave us the infrastructure to transfer the government while they prosecute the war criminals.
Okay.
Now, while the big part of the war is taking place and they want to keep people from panicking, they have to control the narrative in order to wake the people up at a steady incremental pace
Uh-huh.
in sudden shock and awe moments, deaths of celebrities, celebrity arrests, political satire,
Uh-huh.
attempted assassinations,
Right.
assassinations, senility in office. All of these are sensationalisms.
Okay.
Sensationalisms is the theatrical effect being used to subtly wake the people from their slumber by showing them the game is so obvious in your face that you can't even see it because it's hidden in plain sight.
Right. Right.
Right?
Man,
So,
so
who is controlling all of those organizations?
hey, Rod, this is a quick question. Because that makes it's starting to make sense now of why Trump was doing what he was doing and going after and prosecuting people for war crimes that's in the government. It
You
makes
don't
sense.
remember Obama gave a speech when right after the funeral, when all of them got the letter, and he was saying that Trump was weaponizing the judicial system against his enemies,
Right.
right? That's because they had arrested almost everybody in DC and replaced them with lookalikes and skin mask people to give the illusion that it's business as
Man,
usual. And some of them, they
crazy.
can't even, they so conspicuous by their absence that something has to be up
Yeah, we ain't heard
because
nothing from
these,
Hillary Clinton.
yeah, because these media hogs, that's what they are. They gluttons for the spotlight, but they do nefarious things to hold positions of power and it be belligerent to the people across the land. So now you have to create a structure to a scaffolding around a empire before you start disassembling it so that you can keep the people from panicking while they watching Rome fall.
Damn, this shit crazy.
So they've been watching scaffolding around major locations throughout DC for the last 5 years.
Uh-huh.
But on the TV, they steady running these political narratives from these recording studios as if they in the Senate and Congress,
Yeah.
if they in the White House, right? And you look out the White House window and you see a whole different scenery than every White House before, you know something ain't right.
Right. Right.
You see gaps in the corner where the walls don't touch, you know something ain't right.
Look, they would shoot. Look, I know you ain't lying, Rod. They built a replica White House right here on the boardwalk, and they shoot to sit there right there with 50 of them they shooting they built rebuilt a whole identical White House, and they shoot. Man, I'm gonna go over there and film that shit one day over there on the boardwalk. Yeah, they got it blocked out. They shoot presidential shit like it's real shit there at that spot
Yeah.
by Boxdale Air Force Base, on next to Boxdale Air Force Base. Yeah,
So
man.
if the people want to go back and see a page that's been chronicling the closed DC for years,
Mm-hmm.
it's a YouTube page called Nancy Drew.
Okay.
Nancy Drew been going around filming scaffolding around the infrastructure for the last 5 years, showing you that the stuff they telling us on TV don't match the narrative that they giving us in the news.
Right.
And some of us watch her, but most of us we don't believe that the news would tell us misinformation So therefore, we disregard what the actual boots on the ground, real live time intel coming from a lady with her phone, filming walking down the street with all of these scaffolds up, these big old fences around state buildings. It was being liquidated. It was being determined if we're going to demolish it or turn it into a museum of sorts. You know? So all of them things is going into the excavation of the tunnels that was under the White House. Where did they go? Who houses did they stop? You know, why was they connected to that house? Did they have cameras in the tunnel to see who came through the tunnel? All of that stuff was being investigated during the Trump administration. Right? So when the Biden administration come in, they tell you that the vote was rigged. They know what they're talking about because they got it on video.
Damn, that's just.
And the video camera so out cold, it's literally looking over the dude's shoulder while he's hacking, showing you what he's doing.
Damn.
And then the other angle is showing you his face. You know who he is. He was intelligence. He was being controlled by them 3-letter agencies from around the world. The intelligence agencies, the spy rings, has been the source to figure out how to control the narrative for them by going into the community. They send people that look like you. And they extract the information to know who's the big deal in the neighborhood.
Right.
Right? We know who the chief gonna be because when he in elementary school, all of the kids go home and tell their mama about this kid.
Right. Right. Okay.
And all of these mamas want to see who this kid is coming to the school functions because he do whatever he do so well. They want to see for themselves.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah, that happened. That was happening when I was coming up. It was always that kid that.
And they know this already. It's so obvious that they know this already.
Yep. Yeah. That's
so they sending these people to sit into the school play, the football game, the basketball game, the baseball game, the hockey game, the volleyball game, all of the ones that shining the brightest. And they trying to figure out, how do I monetize this individual with a peculiar type of behavior? They study you and monetize what you do to use what they call law to restrict your behavior, to compel you to violate what you would naturally do by violating a law. And that's why I say no ex post facto law. That means no law written after the fact shall hold effect on the behavior that was prior to that law being written. An ex post facto's violation grandfathers us in under the oral tradition because none of the oral traditions have been given up by the tribes. We continue to tell the griot stories as ghetto war stories in order to relay the information of what we're dealing with to the youth in order for them to come with comprehensive plans to change the narrative to improve the living conditions. So they all chasing the bag because they think it's the solution, but the bag is the carrot on the stick. The real solution is how the bag come to you when you give the world what you got of yourself.
Right. That's deep. Go ahead.
Right. So the artists come out and they come out like the chief. He's dancing in public, getting the attention of the most amount of people. While he can tell his grief stories in this particular art form. And then it'll help you understand how roses grow from concrete.
Right.
Right. And then you would know how to celebrate his tenacity and his will to grow. And then you will understand more about how we move as units, even when we separated, because we find a way to put the message on the wire for each other to connect and link back to the tribes, this information that tells us how we get free. The continuity of government have been actively in process for 5 years. The new system brings the old system to a close with the shutting down of the banking system,
Right.
because the fiat money is what's deceiving the people into surrendering their wealth through a system called inflation, fractional reserve banking.
Right.
And by doing this, the people never see that their money is being incrementally stolen from them and they being taxed. What are they taxing?
Right.
Anything that you would naturally do, there is a tax on it in order for them to get paid for you living according to the way you're supposed to live. So, under the continuity of government, using executive orders, we seize all of the power companies for on behalf of the tribes of the land. Once the people start to understand this, they don't even they'll shut the system down.
Uh-huh.
So to seize the power companies give the tribes the right to provide free energy, and the only thing that would cost money is the transferring of the energy from its location to the outlet in which you surrendering the energy to. Big Mama Bank said the infrastructure is a responsibility of state government. So the
Right.
funding that's allocated to state government